Hello and welcome to the Gleam fishing channel again. Lovely day here in Nelson, sun shining, but cool, about 6 degrees centigrade this morning, so getting a bit chilly. We're pretty bloody lucky to have our next guest, Steve Potter. So I'm sure, particularly you West Coast boys and girls, you'll know this guy. He runs obviously the Galatea, a well-known legendary vessel down the west coast. So we're going to talk a bit to Steve and learn a bit about his background. Might get a few tips and tricks for crossing a bar and catching a feed of fish and Hoki, etc. So yeah, welcome, Steve.
Morning, Darren. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, no, it's bloody good day. So you're here at the moment. You've got survey happening at the moment, I take it.
Yeah, no, we're flat out. We got 3 weeks worth of survey, so we got the main winches off the old girl. The first time in 15 years they've been off, so they've done a few revolutions. And yeah, we're just finishing that up. Hopefully the boat will be away by the middle of next week anyway.
Yeah. Should be looking all pretty for Hoki season as the West Fleet boats normally do. So going back, when did it start for you, Steve? I know what you're doing now, and we'll come through to what you're doing now. But when did your passion? When did you first go to sea? What did you do? What are some of the boats you worked on? So what was your background in the fishing industry?
No problems. For me, it didn't actually start on a boat as such. It started on the Chathams, amateur fishing off the rocks, and then selling my catch to my mother for pocket money, pretty much.
Oh, clever. Very good.
Yeah. And then boarding school got in the way of that, although I did correspondence for the first year, which was good because basically had a whole year off, as you do. And then, the cost of boarding school got a bit much for the parents, so we moved to the mainland, as it was called. Internal Affairs shut down a few subsidies, etc. And Mum and Dad bought a house above the dry dock in Littleton. So, of course, Littleton, I was stomping the wharves, fishing there, and the wharf fishing off Littleton's not too flash. So I got hooked up with a guy called Selwyn Russ. You probably know his name from way back, from scalloping, etc.
Absolutely, old Joe.
He's a bit of a legend in his own right, and he's still working today. I think he's still chief engineer on the Anatoki. And I was lucky enough to hook up with him. So I did a cadetship drafting, of all things, with Lands and Survey, so drafting up title plans and that sort of stuff. And Joe had a crew, Bob McLean, or Glenifer Bob, as he was known a bit later on, who worked for Joe at weekends. And Joe was of the religions sort of oriented, and as you know yourself, it didn't work Sundays if he could help it.
Yep.
And so me and Bob took the boat at the weekend. I crewed for Bob at the weekend, and Joe had the weekends off. And then Bob bought his own boat and moved on, and Joe said, "Do you want the job?" And I took it. So I lasted a year as a cadet drafting and went fishing then, inshore fishing. And we tiki-toured to South Island, basically. We sort of did 3 or 4 months scalloping, 3 or 4 months tunoring, and 3 or 4 months inshore out of Littleton. Did the inshore from there. And then I had another old skipper that you know well, Mark Muir, on the Alfred, and we had a bit of a disagreement one day, and he basically said, "If you don't like it, F off," or whatever. So I said, "Okay, Mark, I'll see you later." And we're still good mates today, don't get me wrong. We didn't leave on the terms, and then I joined, and I walked along the wharf and hopped straight on the Corsair pretty much for Craig Boot, which was endurance fishing back then. And I've been with Craig coming up 30 years now. Next year. Colin takes great delight in telling me it's next year, not this year, but
that's just because he doesn't want to buy the gold watch yet.
Probably, but we'll sort that. We'll sort that one out. Saying that, the amount that Craig's paid me over the years, I probably don't need the gold watch, so it's been a pretty good lurk. As you alluded to earlier, the Galatea, she's pretty well known on the coast. It appears in a fair few of these YouTube clips, etc. And obviously, as you alluded to earlier, we do plenty of bar crossings. Our year basically consists of a inshore over the summer, Hoki season during the winter months, June, July, August. And then now we do a little bit of ling down the Solanders coming up to Christmas.
So she's, the Galatea, so you got Hoki season starting soon. You're going to probably, what are you sort of going to hook in, 1,000, 2,000 tonne? What's the Galatea's schedule going to be like this year?
Usually up till 5 or 6 years ago, we were sort of 2,200, 2,500 was a good figure, but the last few years we've managed to clock the 3,000, which is a lot of fish for a 26 metre fresh fish boat. And we're working fairly hard to do that. The bar obviously plays a big part in it. We've had, it's all like fishing, it's seasonal. With the droughts we've had this summer, the bar's a bit shallow, so they're more dangerous and working the tides a lot more, working high tides. She's a 26 metre boat, 800 horsepower, 156 tonnes odd, so it's a bit different to your little fiberglass boat when you're taking on the bar. And there's a few tips for the bar if you like them, I suppose.
Yeah, well, absolutely. That's because we got it's a big risk in it for recreational and commercial. So you've probably crossed the bar, I would say, more than most people in New Zealand. Westport and Greymouth, particularly Greymouth for you. So what are for those rec fishers? I know a few of them are going to head down for the chasing the bluefin, behind the Hoki boat shortly over the next 2 or 3 months. So, from your perspective, what's the best and safest way for these guys to be crossing the bar either way?
The best way is just to treat it as being different each day. It's never the same. Even on the same day, it's different. 2 different tides, 2 different high tides can make a huge difference. Most of my 40 years I've been fishing has been on the coast. In the early days with the 40-foot wooden boat, which obviously is quite a bit different to a 156-ton steel boat. One of the best tips one of my old skippers taught me was that if you're standing on the floor of the wheelhouse and the town lights disappear behind the wave, then watch what you're doing. And it pretty much applies to any size boat. If it's a small boat and it's disappearing by the waves are big for that boat. If it's my boat and they disappear the lights, if you can't see the lights and they disappear behind the swell, watch what you're doing. That's just one that you think about in the back of your head. Obviously the best way to work a bar is find out what it's like first. If you're at sea, ring somebody, ask.
Yep.
If you're approaching the bar, look at your sounder, because your sounder, unless you've got the fancy motion stabilised models now, the sounder will tell you whether you got 1 metre, 2 metre, 5 metres of swell. Your radar, if you tune a bit of clutter out of your radar, you can actually see the waves breaking, so there's breakers up ahead of you. And basically talk to somebody on the tip head, or talk to your mates, talk to someone that's come in and out, talk to the commercial guys that are working there every day. In the Hoki season, it's a double-edged sword for us. It's an advantage because we're working every day, so we know what it's like. So we're doing a trip a day. Every 24 hours, we're pretty much doing a trip.
How many tonnes is that, Steve?
So that's between 30 and 40 tonne of wet fish
every 24
cased.
hours.
Yeah, every 24 hours. So we're coming and going every 24 hours, but then we also having to do that means that we push it a bit more, so don't follow us because it's horses for courses, as it would go. But ask us. No one's going to refuse you information. Last year I seen 5 fellas coming down the river and I says, look, have a double think. Don't even think, there's a boat sitting out there waiting. We're not going. You haven't looked at it. It's dark. And they listened and they went back, had a barbecue for breakfast, and they took a look in the daylight and said, shit, we're glad we didn't go, If in doubt, hesitate. If you're hesitating, don't do it. Go and have a look. Check it out first,
So that's another example, I guess, of the commercial guys helping the rec guys out on the water, eh?
Yeah, we've seen a big influx. It's been changeable. When the big tuna started coming, it was obviously the commercial guys were hooking into it more, and we had the charter guys there. Over the last few years, we've had a lot of more the amateur recreational guys, and obviously with equity and houses and things, they've all got nice hard top boats and things, so they're game to go a bit further offshore. But the other point I make is channel 16 on the VHF. Don't use it as a chatty channel, but as a call-up channel to get hold of a commercial boat or another boat, or the weather forecast, or if you're in trouble, just monitor channel 16. We had the incident last year with one of the amateur boats getting caught up in a Russian trawl, and it could have been avoided if they'd been listening to 16. Maybe avoided. It's a tough one, but definitely communication's the biggest factor.
So where are they normally? So the season's coming up, the Hoki, and we talked about the recreational bluefin boats will be heading out of Greymouth looking for you guys, right? So they're hunting you guys because your cod end comes up and then the bluefin are
obviously the bluefin are there fattening up. We found that out when we started marketing them. They had no marketable value because they weren't fat. The oil contents hadn't built up, so they're there feeding on the spawning Hoki, exactly the same as we're feeding on the spawning Hoki.
Yeah.
And that's changed over the years. I mean, previous seasons we had a lot of bluefin on the inside of the trench, and by the inside I mean 25 mile. Obviously the big factory trawlers, there's a ruling they're not allowed, if you're over 40 metres you're not allowed inside 25 mile, and that means that we have the inside to ourselves and they have the outside to themselves. We haven't seen a lot of bluefin, as many bluefin on the inside of the trench the last few years, so the recreational guys and everyone's had to go out and deal with the factory trawlers. And getting back to VHFs again, the factory trawlers tend to have a chat channel on channel 10, and the inshore guys have a chat channel on channel 6, because so we don't interfere with each other, but the universal one's 16 for call up. Yep. It's just, we're quite happy, and we deal with fishing a bit different. We're what they call a stern trawler. Obviously, the bag comes up to the back of the boat, but we split our bag. We split a boat, so we split off 5 tonne at a time and lift it aboard 5 tonne at a time. The big factory boats, they'll pull the bag straight up the ramp.
So 20, 30 tonne, whatever, up the slides.
Whoosh it straight up out the water. Yeah. But that's where the bluefin has, just like a big burley bag.
Absolutely. The ultimate
bluefin,
20-tonne
sharks,
burley.
everything's hanging around it. Sea mammals.
Yeah.
So, it's certainly a good game.
Yeah, absolutely. So and I noticed Maritime New Zealand working with the fishing industry have just recently put out a publication for recreational boaties if they want to go and catch the giant bluefin behind the Hoki boats out of Greymouth, or if they leave from Westport. It's got some really good information there, and I think some of those will be available at some of the fishing shops. I think you can probably get them at Westfleet and Tallies down in Greymouth. So
yeah, and it's on the Maritime New Zealand website as well. There's an actual section on the West Coast and the thing. They've just I was a little bit involved in that.
Yep.
Like as you were, I think. You and Chris Carey, weren't you?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's come out, and like you said, it's I encourage people to go and have a look at it. It's just basic bullet points. It's just basic information and basic common sense,
It's largely keeping away from the stern, because with it, most of the thing that we see is when you're hauling and the cod end pops to the surface, particularly those larger vessels, the cod end might be floating back 200 or 300 metres, but the body of the net might be sort of sagging underwater. So, I mean, I've seen recreational craft go between the floating cod end and the stern of the trawler. And then, of course, when they start hauling the net again, then all that mesh and that comes up out of water and goes underneath the
other one they do a lot, the factory trawlers, if the fishing's slow and that, they'll haul up to the wing ends and turn around on it. So they'll tell on channel 16, they'll say turn into port, turn into starboard. Generally it's a starboard turn because they're coming hard down that line from north to south. But like you said, you've got 300 metres of string hanging out the back. It's like a big macrame set. It's designed to catch things. Yeah. So if you're in the way, it'll catch you.
And it does, for sure. Yeah, that's a good way of describing
and I mean, for the amateurs, you all know about barometric with fish blowing up when they come out of deep water. I mean, your gropers, your basses all do it. Yeah. Hoki do exactly the same. So if you've got 30 tonne of Hoki, it comes out the water like a submarine. Yeah. And we've seen boats in the old days sit on top of them. It will lift you out the water.
Yeah.
Physically lift you out the water.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something to be aware of. So with the Hoki, so you're going out there, you've got to get your 30 or 40 tonne a day. So give us a bit of an overview. You've crossed the bar, you've had a safe exit out into heading towards the trench. So give us a bit of a run through, Steve, from okay, I need to get a load all the way to I'm heading back in.
Yeah, so we generally time of day doesn't really matter. Obviously, if the sea's crap or whatever, we work in the high tides. So we'll be leaving on a high tide or whatever. We'll basically do the 3.5 steam out to the trench.
So it's 3.5 hours.
3.5 hours out to the trench. We'll have a bit of a look round. If the fishing's been slow, we might have to look a bit further just to find where the bit dentist patches are. If there's the same thing, a couple of the smaller factory trawlers work in the trench, the Akaha is there quite often. They'll give us a heads up where it is. Sometimes we might just steam straight and shoot straight away. And then we'll tow from anywhere from 10 minutes to 45 an hour generally. And same thing, times have changed. The old days we used to just go for one-shot wonders. Now we're doing 10, 15 tonne. We have catch sensors on the net. So,
quality.
Quality. So,
yeah.
So I mean, ideal for the Galatea. And to be honest, we can put away 3 shots faster than we can put away one big shot. So there's no sense in doing the one big shots anymore. So we'll do 2 or 3 shots for our 30, 40 tonne. We might take a little bit more home if they've ordered more, depending on whether we're trucking to Sealords here, trucking here to Nelson, or it's going through our own factory there in Greymouth. But generally, and then she's a 3 or 4 hour steam home with the boys putting the fish away and cross the bar again.
Yep.
And a 3 or 4 hour unload and same repeat.
Burn. Yeah,
repeat.
Turn and burn, basically.
If we're lucky, we get a Sunday off.
Yep.
6 days a week, but generally it depends on demand and how the factory are cutting, etc., and size of fish. One reason we concentrate on the Hoki trench is generally the Hoki tend to be a bit better size than Cook Strait.
Yep.
I mean, occasionally we will come and spend the last couple of weeks in Cook Strait, but it hasn't happened for the last couple of years.
That's where your Harley riders are, as they call them, the big Hoki on
the big
West
Hoki,
Coast.
yeah. Well,
absolutely.
they used to, years ago, the Key 26 the pub had a competition, didn't they, for the biggest Hokies?
Yeah. So when you find, you head out there, you obviously drop into the canyon. You've talked to the boats and you're looking for you're steaming around with your sounder and you go, there they go. So what do you do? So you've got to mark in, I don't know what, 300-400 metres down there. So what do you do? What's happening on board? You go back, you line up, or what? Talk about the gear and the process.
It's quite a fun game because it's a bit of a race. I mean, if there's 2 or 3 of you there, you'll see the mark, or you might even call the shot before you even get to the trench if you're really cheeky about it.
Typical fisherman. It's a race.
I'll say I'm shooting out of the south gut or whatever, or you'll ask one of the others, are you shooting? You say, well, I'm next behind you, and you might not even look. It can bite you in the arse as well as pay off. But generally, we'll find the mark and then we'll run back, and we generally like to line ourselves up a mile, 2 miles back just for speed of winches and getting the gear down to the mark. So we'll be shooting the cod ends and the belly of the net basically in the opposite direction to the way we're going to tow. At night time, obviously, you'll see the green lights go up, and then a white and a red for shooting, hauling, for shooting, and then we'll tie a net monitor. So we have a net monitor that goes on the headline of the net, which records the fish going into the net for us. So we'll be tying that on, and then we'll do a turn, a 180-degree turn, and then we'll shoot the rest of the net, sweeps, bridles, doors, etc., in the way that we intend to tow. And like with the Hoki trench, I mean, there's limited options basically. There's north gut, south gut, and down the middle.
Yep.
So it's not too bad, and then you got a choice of either side you take, which side you take. But yeah, like I said, it's a fun game. It brings out the best and worst in people.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's a bit like I did a little bit obviously on the Kathleen, mainly in the Straits, but it's a bit like computer games, isn't it? Like you got to, where the fish is, and you've got to shoot enough wire to get the net and doors, slightly above the mark, and then you got to hope the mark goes in, and then you might have to shoot wire or haul wire.
Yeah, you did right.
You're sort of chasing them, eh?
Yeah, it's exactly like a video game. You've got the screen that tells you where your net is. You've got the screen that tells you where the fish is, and you got to get the two to line up, and then you've got the radar that tells you where the other boats are, and the plotter nowadays with AIS, and everyone hops on and train spots as well. It tells you where the other boats are, so you're dodging the other boats and trying to line everything up, and hopefully if you get all your ducks in a row, so to speak, you see the fish going in the net at the right thing. And Hoki, for a silly looking fish with a no tail, it can move.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're chasing them down, sometimes you're chasing them up, sometimes down. It's always easier to catch them on the bottom because obviously they can't swim downwards, so they can only swim upwards, so you can sort of pin them to the bottom a bit, but.
Yeah.
It's a video game's a good analogy, really.
Yeah, that was sort of how I always sort of figured it. Was like, oh, hang on, so I'm just sort of playing pokies here. It's like that there. Yeah. But as you said, they move pretty quick, eh?
Yeah,
so that's
they can,
what a fast winch is.
especially those bigger fish as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fast
and
winches
faster
are
winches
key.
and a bit of horsepower. If
Horsepower
in doubt,
matters.
give it heaps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Horsepower catches fish.
Yeah, no, it certainly does. So that's something I've always sort of prescribed to. I remember like the first boat I ran, the Destiny G, versus I guess the last one, the Kathleen, the capacity horsepower
the
catches
little
fish.
GM versus the big GM.
That's right. Yeah. Well, that was actually the 471 versus the 12V71.
Well, we were a wee bit the same, to be honest. I mean, we re-engined last year. We had a bit of a failure with the engine last year, and we re-engined.
Heard that just into the Hoki season.
Yeah,
too,
and this one's only got 50 horsepower more, but it's quite amazing how much difference 50 horsepower makes. It's quite noticeable, you know.
Yeah.
Well, that and the other one was getting a bit tired, obviously. But yeah.
So with your your time at sea, and I normally ask a lot of the sort of fishermen that come on here this question is, we're really lucky. We've seen things at sea. We've probably been involved in things at sea that most people would never experience, or they'd think we were telling porkies. I mean, so is there anything that you can sort of remember that it might have been a rescue, it might have been an event, it might have been I nearly lost a Kathleen in the Straits, which was a horrific story. Is there we've all seen dolphins and whales and birds do really cool stuff. Is there anything that sort of springs to mind that you look back and go, that was cool?
Oh, yeah, well, I think that's why we keep doing it, Darren, because it changes all the time. I mean, whether it's a sunset in the a sunrise in the morning, or a sunset over the, Mount Cook on the west coast, takes a bit of beating on a beautiful, flat, calm day. And it changes. Like I said, we've done numerous tow jobs on the west coast, off beaches or just breakdowns. They're always interesting. They're just something different from what you're normally doing. The bar, obviously, the bar keeps you. I mean, I'm still shit scared of it today. I probably didn't start out that way, but it's a bit like helicopter pilots. I reckon there's no old helicopter pilots, and I mean, we've had our fair share of scares on that. And I mean, you'd be a fool if you didn't say you weren't scared. But as long as you learn from those mistakes and everything, it's good. I mean, you catch oddball things. I mean, we were towing off Littleton in the Sea Legend, and we caught a 30-foot wooden bloody boat that, complete with the fence post attached to it, that had come down the Waimak. It's just things that they ruin your day, but afterwards you think, oh, well, that was quite entertaining, or how the hell did we do that, or something like that. We had one on the Corsair when I started with Craig. I was crewing. We caught a dead marine mammal of some sort, whether it was a whale or seal or something. It was the remains anyway, and man, was it high. And Craig locked all the doors and wouldn't let us inside, which was the worst thing he could do, because then he was inside dry reaching because he'd locked all the smell inside. At least we had a bit of breeze outside. But we had some very white crew that day, It's just, I mean, at the time everyone's going, ugh, but afterwards you have a laugh about it. And you have your entertaining moments, like sticking the boys under a waterfall down Milford or something like that, it's having a radio conversation with somebody you haven't seen for ages. I mean, like you said, it changes every day, and that's why we do it, basically.
Yeah, it's largely a family, isn't it? I mean, what have you enjoyed the most? Like, what have you got out of fishing, or what's fishing given you that you're grateful for, I guess?
Fishing's given me everything pretty much, because I've pretty much done it my whole working life. I mean, it's allowed me to have a nice family, and a happy family, and buy a nice house and all that side of thing, which goes with working hard. And I've always said that if I didn't like it, I wouldn't be doing it. I'm one of these people. I don't see any point in doing anything you don't like doing. I mean, you might not be good at it, but at least if you like it, you can learn to be good at it. If you hate it, you're always going to hate it. I mean, you might be really, really good at it and hate it, but you're still always going to hate it. So you might as well do something you like doing. And fishing, well, like I said, I still like it, so I'm still doing it. How much longer, I don't know. This has gone a bit grayer, and I'm turning into a grumpy old man. You only have to ask my crew how that's evolved. But saying that, we've had some good times. I mean, I had a crew there. He left 2 years ago. He'd been there 19 years, And the guys I got on now, I've got a couple of 5-yearers and 6-yearers, and I think an 8 or a 9, So we can't be too bad to work for, put it that way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, as we've talked about, I guess, with some of our other guests is it's a family environment, hey? Like you've got your family at home and you got your family at sea, and that makes the job enjoyable.
Oh yeah, like I said, the guy that I left to join Craig, Mark Muir. I mean, we're still best of mates. We don't see very often in that, but when we do, it's just like we never hadn't seen. It's like you from scalloping days, and you know, all those guys scalloping, your fathers and Chris and John and everyone else.
We're all connected in some way.
Yeah, everyone's connected, and whether it's through history or whether it's upcoming events or evolving into federation and things like that now, into the, well, as we said, with little committees on bluefin committees and things like that, or I mean, you get to the stage where you'd like to think you're putting something back into the industry that you have enjoyed and do, you know. And it's the same with the quotas and everything else. I mean, it all evolves, and none of us want to stuff it up for the next generation or for whoever comes along. Like, I'm hoping that my crew will do their tickets, and my son, obviously, he came out for a few trips and ate ice cream and got seasick and decided it wasn't for him. He went building, and my daughter's a nurse, so they obviously aren't going to come into the industry now. But you hope like the guys that are my crew coming on, you're hoping they'll do skippers tickets, and then there's something, and the way it works at the moment, there will be something there to catch. I mean, it's not a perfect system, it never was, but it does put a limit on things, and I mean, you know, you see recent movie programs and that talking about 75% discards and things like that. I mean, it just doesn't happen in New Zealand. I mean, I'd be in jail or broke from the deemed values. I mean, my discards are somewhere between 3 and 5%, and then they're legal discards. They're fish that we're legally allowed to discard.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you're talking those sort of figures, and everything's got a value now, and it's got a limit on that quantity, then it's going to be there forever. I mean, it's going to need tweaks here and there. Obviously, everything does. It's no different to farming with foot and mouth or something like that comes along. The whole thing needs a tweak, you know. But as long as we've got a system, and it's, you know.
No, I absolutely agree. And it's sort of, I guess you're right. You know, obviously there's been a documentary out recently that's you know, painted a lot of sort of trawling, commercial fishing in a less than desirable light. But I think it's important that people realise that's international stuff. I mean, New Zealand is the fact that we can have a conversation and
Oh yeah, I mean, we're talking going back 30 years. I mean, and alluding to the technology that we're talking about with the Hoki fishery and the technology that's come through. But those of us on the ground don't want to see that happen, and there's no point in it happening. I mean, there's no point in me putting myself out of business, so to speak, you know.
No, well, it's killing all your cows and all your sheep and all your lambs, isn't it?
It's basically,
there's no logic in it. And of course, you know, the paddocks they live in, we look after those as well. So, you know, thanks. That bloody interesting. So you've obviously got the Hoki season coming up, and the boat's up here for survey. So, anything sort of else that you can think of, Steve, for our viewers? Anything sort of, any final thoughts or words or?
No, I encourage everyone. I mean, if you're interested in fishing, give it a go. I mean, just contact someone and give it a go. The big companies, I mean, obviously, hindsight's a great thing. I mean, I think all of us would have done things a little bit different. We'd probably all be cray fishermen, to be honest, if we'd done things different. But give it a go. I mean, like I said, you might not be good at it, but if you enjoy it, you'll learn to be good at it. It's been my life, and I've really enjoyed it.
No, absolutely, and look, we wish the Galatea, and I know that Bob and co will be out on the tip head with the camera, getting those glorious shots of the Galatea going over the bar and the other boats and Jonesy and co. So have a bloody good, safe and productive Hoki season, and we sort of look forward to catching up with you again. What we might do is, if you get time, is do a post-season catch up and let us know how the Hoki fishery went.
Yeah, no, there's no problems, Darren, as long as I haven't talked too much rubbish. And we're looking forward to Hoki season. We always do. I mean, obviously, like I said, it's a bit of excitement. It's a change of pace. Inshoring can be a bit dull sometimes, dare I say it, but then it has its challenges as well. But yeah, we get Hoki season out the way and do a bit of ling down Bluff, go and visit the friends down Bluff for a while, and Roaring 40s.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a whole new podcast, isn't it?
Yeah,
The
just
Roaring
about
40s.
down that end of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, bloody good. Appreciate it. And I guess for the rec fishers out there, I mean the Galatea, she'll be down there, and the Cook Canyon and probably Corsair and a few other boats are there. So, just what were those channels again? If they want to talk to you, Steve.
Yeah, well, generally when we're coming and going, all the bigger boats now, we have a policy of a 10-minute call up when we're crossing the bar, either coming or going. So the 10-minute call ups generally it's always channel 16 and channel 6 for the local boats coming and going. So if you hear us call up saying we're coming and going, just ask us what it's like or what we think it's like. Inside the 25-mile line, channel 6 is your best one. Well, 16 is always your best one for a call-up channel, but please don't block it up because it is a distress channel. But you just call fishing vessel Galatea and can say your name or your call sign, whatever. Just say fishing vessel Galatea, channel 6, do you copy? And we'll come back. And the same on 16. And then if you're on 16, I'll probably say go to 10 or 6. Yep. You go down to a working channel. And then obviously channel 10's for the factory boats outside the line or the bigger boats outside the line. Awesome. I mean, obviously the recreational guys will pick their own channels and yep. what they want to talk to their mates on, but please don't block up 16.
Yeah, no, absolutely, because that's the International Distress Channel. And so, thanks very much. And for those of you that are heading down to catch bluefin, the recreational fishers amongst us, I see guys like Steve here, pretty approachable. We want you to enjoy the bluefin fishery, but please stay away from the stern and the sides of some of these factory trawlers. We know the fish are close, we know you're close, but remember, they can't always see you. So, safety first. So, thanks very much. Hopefully you enjoyed, and please subscribe, and have a great day.